Hello, everyone. It's Luna Rising. So, for this month, I will cover Pluto through the houses. So, wherever Pluto is placed in our chart, it's where there is deep emotional pain. And it's also an area of life that provides the most growth and change. And it also shows the use and abuse of power and the need for us to assert ourselves. So, whichever house Pluto falls in, you will be confronted with themes related to power, control, obsession, manipulation, and also transformation. So, first, I will explain briefly what each house represents, and then I will go into what it means for Pluto to be there. First house describe your personality, your appearance, your persona. It's how you project yourself into your environment, and it's also how you are perceived by other people before they get to know you. Pluto here indicate that you have a stubborn and a fixed personality where you can be rigid and set in your way. You can come across to other people as someone who is very intense, powerful, or sometimes even domineering. And in addition to having a really strong personality, you also have a really strong and commanding presence. And people tend to have really strong opinions about you. So they either love you or they hate you, and there's really nothing in between. This placement also indicate an early upbringing where you are exposed to trauma in some way. So that could be in the form of abuse, neglect, or witnessing domestic violence in the home life. Your early upbringing makes you very aware of the darker side of human nature. And you, because of those experiences, you learn to really use your personal power to protect yourself and your loved one. And as an adult, you can sometimes be in a situation where you feel this need to assert yourself in a really strong and powerful way, but the behavior is deemed as a little inappropriate or a little bit too intense for the situation. Your early upbringing can also help shape your mentality. So, the mentality that you might adopt over time is that in order for you to have power and to be in control, you have to assert your will and take control of other people. So this need for control will bring a lot of different challenges in your relationship with other because of that power struggle. And even if you are not consciously trying to dominate and control other people, by asserting yourself in such a strong and intense way, you kind of indirectly cause other people to feel this need to control or to dominate you because they're so threatened by you. With this placement, the personality will go through many cycles of growth and change. And this transformation is necessary for you to get rid of aspects of yourself and your personality that no longer serve you. Second house deals with your finances. It shows your attitude about material possession. It also shows your approach to finances and what we value in life. With placement, there can be an obsession with earning money or improving your financial situation. Your work can be seen as sort of like a mean to an end to achieve financial security. And for you, it doesn't really matter a whole lot if the work itself is not particularly meaningful or rewarding for you. Some of you, the desire to be financially independent is due to this fear of having to be poor or this fear of being in a helpless situation because your financial resources are limited. And this fear can make it really difficult for you to get rid of material possessions, and you might accumulate a lot of different material possession for that emotional security. For others, this obsession with finances can be is due to this need to control other people using your financial resources. So it could play out in the form of using your money to buy other people's love and acceptance. That way you don't have to worry about being rejected or being abandoned by them. There's a small percentage of you that might choose to go to the other end of the extreme by choosing to give away your power and choosing to not be financially responsible so that other people will save you. And other people can be your parents, or it could be people, or it could be society. And it's really your way of ensuring that you can't be abandoned because people can't really realistically expect that you can provide for yourself. So this is actually a very destructive way of utilizing this energy. Pluto in this house can bring transformation related to your self-worth and your self-esteem. And throughout your life, you might encounter some form of loss so that you can understand that your self-worth and value actually comes from within. Third house deals with the operation of the mind. It deals with your communication style, your relationship with your siblings, and the planets in third house also describe the personality of your siblings. Pluto here can bring power struggle in your relationship with your siblings, or it can also indicate power struggle in your environment, especially with your neighbors. Pluto here can also indicate that in your early environment, you might have been exposed to a situation where you felt threatened or coerced into giving certain information that you didn't really want to voluntarily give. And because of that experience, um, and how traumatic it was for you, it can make you extremely guarded about sharing any form of information with other people, especially information about yourself. Pluto here can indicate this strong desire to learn and expand your mind. You are someone that can spend a lot of time in solitude, just reading or researching about anything that interests you. You can also have a strong fascination with people or any subjects that is very complex or mentally challenging. And you can also be really interested in any unsolved mysteries, the occult, or any subject that's deemed taboo by society. This placement indicates that you have a curious mind and you're highly intelligent. It also indicates that you have a strong intuition that allows you to immediately know if someone is giving you any false or misleading information. So it's a good balance between having that intellectual mind and being strongly intuitive. Of psychology, especially when it comes to understanding human psychology. And this placement can bring this interest or an obsession in wanting to analyze and assess other people on a deeper level. Almost like you really want to pierce into their soul to understand them more. And sometimes to achieve that goal, you can pry and probe for information. sometimes in a very forceful manner that people don't appreciate. When it comes to your communication style, you are someone who command attention when you speak, because when you speak with such authority and conviction. And with this placement, you really need to be careful not to be a compulsive talker and not dominate the conversation and not impose your strong opinions and ideas on other people around you. And since this placement gives you this power to persuade other people and make a really strong impact, you have the responsibility to make sure that the information that you convey will be for everyone's higher goods and not just for yourself. Fourth house is a house that indicate your core. It also indicate your home life and how you relate to your family. It also shows your attitude towards giving and receiving nurturing. And it's really the deepest part of ourself, our psychological roots. Pluto here indicate that there might be some traumatic events that occur in the home life growing up. One of your parent could be extremely demanding, controlling, overbearing, or overly protective. It can also indicate that a parent is one of your parent can be really paranoid, or they have this obsessive personality, and that the home environment can have all kinds of different energy and tension due to the hidden agendas of the family members. Placement can also indicate that there is deep pain associated with being abandoned by a parent, and this abandonment could be due to death, could be due to divorce, or it could be because one of your parent just basically up and left the home life, and that parent's absence in your life can really impact you at your core. This placement can also indicate a family that was torn apart due to some kind of crisis, or the family felt like they need to kind of uproot and move across the globe and had to really change and adapt to a new way of living. So with this placement, there might be, like I said before, a lot of different trauma that you experience in childhood. And if this trauma is not consciously worked on and resolved, it can cause you to go through life holding on to a great deal of anger and resentment because you felt like the adults in your life did not provide you with the emotional support that you needed to process those emotional wounds. This placement can indicate a tendency to want to cut off your feelings altogether because your emotions are so powerful that you feel like those emotions can easily control or consume you. So, with this placement, there is a need to process and heal those emotional issues. And many of you will have this deep rooted fear or a discomfort when you think of your family, especially the family that you were raised in. And many feel this irrational need to relocate or immigrate to a new place that's really far away so that you can build a new life for yourself. And so the challenge with this placement is to make sure that you don't recreate the same home environment that you were raised in, and to make sure that there's no power struggle or your need for control is not um, doesn't reoccur in the home life. Fifth house is a house of children, love affair, creativity, And it's also a house of self expression. So the self expression is either through your relationship or the children that you produce. Pluto here makes you extremely passionate about areas related to romance, child rearing, and also the creative arts. You are someone who take a lot of pride in what you can produce, and your attitude towards uh, any recreational activity can be really intense, and you are so intense about it, and you take it so seriously that you might not even enjoy the activity. So with this placement, you have to be mindful to find joy in the process. This fifth house is a house of romance. Your love relationship needs to be, from your perspective, needs to be intense and passionate. You tend to have a all or nothing attitude when it comes to love, and you are not someone who is interested in any love affair that seems superficial to you. This placement indicates that there might be a deep rooted fear of loss or betrayal in your romantic relationship, but it is through those relationships that you transform the most, because it is in your love relationship that you are exposed to issues related to power and control, obsession, betrayal, and also abandonment. So for you, love affair can be extremely emotionally draining and exhausting. In your love affairs, you might attract romantic partners that embody the Plutonian energy, where they are intense, controlling, domineering. They can also be easily jealous, or they can be really passionate. This placement indicates that you might have this obsession with your partner and having this irrational need to be with the person, even even if you know that they are not the right fit for you, but you can't logically explain why. Um, or it could be the other way around, where you are with a person who is extremely obsessed with you and they feel this strong need to be with you, even if the two of you are not a good match for each other. With this placement, your approach in raising children is very similar to your approach in the creative arts. You take your role as a parent very seriously, and you have this natural protectiveness towards your children. So, with this placement, you really have to be careful to allow your children to have a certain amount of freedom. Otherwise, there will be power conflict with them when they get older. Sixth house is a house of service, and it also rules your attitude towards work and health. Since the sixth house also rules day to day functioning of life, with this placement, it can bring this obsession with daily routine or any rituals in the home or the work front. You might have a really strong interest in learning about the integration of the mind and body. This placement can indicate this eruption of health problems that really require you to completely change your diet and lifestyle. And because of your health issue, you can become a really powerful healer for yourself or other people. And it can also indicate having health issue that's really hard to diagnose and treat. Since this house also deal with your work environment, Pluto here can indicate power struggle on the work front. So you can be the person that brings this Plutonian energy into the work environment, where you come across to your colleagues as someone who is aggressive, intimidating, or hostile. So it's either you bringing this energy, or this energy could be projected outward where the environment that you work in has those elements of fear, intimidation, or coercion in some way. Since Pluto brings obsession, and with it being in sixth house, there could be a subconscious and obsessive need to serve other people. And if this need is not fully understood, it can cause you to become obsessed with your work, and it can make you become a workaholic where your health is severely compromised. Again, the source of transformation for you will be in the areas of your physical health. And when it comes to your physical health, there could be that chronic or debilitating health problem that force you to explore what you need to do differently to manage the symptoms and heal your physical body. Seventh house is a house of marriage and long term relationship. With this placement, there is a compulsive need to be in a relationship with another person so that you can work out those Plutonian issues of jealousy, passion, obsession, and control. And just like with Pluto in fifth house of short term love affair, Pluto in seventh house can bring a lot of different emotional upheaval in your long term relationship or your marriage. You might have a lot of difficulty trusting your partner and feeling emotionally and physically safe in your marriage. This placement can also indicate this unhealthy and dependent relationship where you feel like you can't live with your partner, but you can't live without them either. So, with this placement, you can really count on your relationship to go through a lot of cycles of growth and change, and your relationship will not be stagnant in any way. Anytime there is a strong Pluto influence in a chart, there is a confusion between what is considered a healthy passion versus unhealthy connection with another person. So, your need for intensity in a relationship can make you gravitate towards a lot of different dysfunctional relationships, or entering one relationship after another because you feel like having that emotional turmoil allows you to feel something rather than nothing at all. So that's why there's that gravitation towards unhealthy people or unhealthy relationships. So your personal relationship will be your catalyst for change and transformation. So what you have to do is really work on being mindful that instead of being a destructive influence to other people in your life, you have to learn to be a more positive influence by relating or interacting with your partner in a way that's balanced, that's cooperative, without the need to dominate or control them. Eighth house deals with your sexuality, death, inheritance, and also other people's money. Like with Pluto in seventh house, Pluto in eighth, you need to really learn to empower yourself and feel internally secure. That way, you don't have to worry about being confronted with feelings of being powerless or helpless. So, with this placement, it indicates that your desire for growth and expansion will be a lifelong mission because you really want to understand yourself and other people at a deeper level. And having that understanding will really allow you to help yourself and also heal other people around you that are emotionally or mentally unstable. And with this placement, there is a natural interest in subjects like psychology or the occult or unsolved mysteries. This placement indicates that you have a highly sexual nature with a strong need for passion. And it can also indicate a lot of different conflict in relationship over any issues of inheritance or divorce settlements. This placement, you will experience at least one major life changes. And even at a very young age, you might have to be confronted with issues of abuse, divorce, mental illness, or death. And that could be through violence or suicide. And because of your exposure to major life challenges at such a young age, you are often very aware of how fragile human life is. And that can bring this fear of death or this fascination or obsession with the afterlife. With this placement, if you are operating from a higher conscious awareness, you are someone that can create a safe and accepting environment that allows other people to be um, vulnerable around you, and that allows them to explore aspects of their darker personality. And intuitively, you understand that those negative or unwanted aspects of the personality cannot be dismissed. And a way to manage it is to really integrate it, to accept it, and to integrate it in a way that's healthy so that the individual can have that balance and that clarity. Ninth house rule higher education. It also covers travel and your philosophy of the world. Similar to Pluto in third house, with Pluto in ninth house, there is a belief that knowledge is power. So there's a strong interest in learning and accumulating knowledge. With this placement, there is you have to be careful to not have such a strong attachment to your opinion and your belief system. And if you are rigid, especially if you are so fixated on your knowledge being superior to other people, it can easily turn any discussion into arguments if the other person doesn't agree with you. And this placement can also indicate that you have this obsession in wanting to prove that you are right and wanting to convert people to share your belief system. If you are operating from a higher conscious awareness, you can be someone that's highly influential and persuasive, where you can command attention and authority because your ideas are rational and sound. With this placement, there might have been situation where, as a child, you encounter um, you had experiences that really forced you to confront your belief system, um, and it makes you question whether those belief system that you were raised in is valid. And that process where you question your faith or your belief system can be really unsettling and overwhelming in the beginning, but over time, it can really transform you and give you this opportunity to kind of shift your life in a positive direction. Your transformation can often occur when you travel, and and in those travel, you might experience different people of different cultures where you are exposed to a completely different way of living life or a completely different way of looking at life. For some of you, that transformation occur in higher education through your studies, and that experience can drastically change your life path. And even if you don't change, the educational experience can have a profound impact on your perspective of life. And displacement can indicate this yearning to find answers to life's many questions so that you can understand it on a much deeper and broader level. And with that understanding, there comes this wealth of wisdom that you can easily pass on to other people. This placement can indicate that you can be a pioneer in areas of higher learning, religion, and law, because it's allowing you to really break down and transform any outdated modality. And by doing that, you really change the existing structure in society. 10th house is a house that deals with your career, your social status, your reputation. It also indicates how you deal with authority figures. Similar to fourth house, Pluto in 10th describe the personality of at least one of your parents, especially your father. So this placement can indicate that your parent can have a very dominant personality, or they can be very oppressive, threatening, or controlling. So either way, the person can hold a great deal of power in the family, and they are oftentimes that person can really make major life decisions for the entire family without consulting anyone. So with this placement, it can also indicate that you might have this intense power struggle with your parent whenever you attempt to assert your own power. Displacement can make you ambitious and driven. So you are someone who pursue your professional goals with a lot of focus and determination, but you have to be careful not to become consumed by your professional life. And many of you are perfectionists and you have really high standards of yourself and others, and you might have unrealistic expectation for yourself and for the people that you work with. So on the work front, you are someone who tend to naturally take the lead, and it's really difficult for you to take directives from other people, especially if you don't respect them. So similar to sixth house with Pluto in 10th, it can bring this Plutonian energy on the work front where you might come across to other people as someone who is ruthless, threatening, or controlling in your professional relationship. And if this Plutonian energy is not coming from you, then it could be in your work environment, and you will have to face those issues and learn how to strategically navigate it. The key is to set really good boundaries and to assert yourself in a way that is respectful, that's non threatening, so that you don't have to worry about having to um, manage power struggles with your colleagues or your superior. This placement can indicate a career upheaval where your status or your reputation is destroyed in some way. So, with this placement, there is a need for you to walk that straight and narrow road to avoid any possibility of destroying your reputation that you've worked so hard to build for yourself. And in some cases, there might be a situation where you choose to leave an established career and you move on to something else completely different from what you've been doing your entire life. So this placement can indicate this desire, this need to transform society. And if it's not society, then at least a need to transform the work front so that you can improve current structures, any policies or processes that you consider as outdated. 11th house deals with your friendship, your goals, your dreams, any group organization, and it also indicates your level of interest in humanitarian or social causes. Placement indicates that your involvement in group organization or in your friendship will trigger deep emotional transformation and growth for you. So you can really expect that these relationships will be very intense and never superficial. You are someone that is drawn to friends that is really powerful or influential in some way. But with this placement, there is that element of being resentful or jealous of your friends, or your friends being resentful or jealous of you. So this placement indicates that you have to be really mindful that the relationship you have with your friends is healthy, and that you don't engage in any behavior that is considered manipulative or any controlling behavior, because that will ruin the friendship. So with Pluto here, it can indicate that some of your friendship can be downright unhealthy, where the relationship is ridden with issues of abuse, violence, or power struggle. So if you find yourself in that situation, you really have to reassess your role in the relationship and figure out for yourself what you are doing to feed into this unhealthy dynamic so that you can change the relationship. And change sometimes means letting go of the person or letting go of the relationship that's unhealthy for you, and really assess whether those relationships promote your own growth. And if they don't, then you really need to consider whether you want to continue being in the relationship. This placement can indicate a strong desire to pursue social and political movement, to really expose people and society to pressing issues that they might not be aware of. And displacement can also indicate an obsession or a need to join secret organization like the mafia. And even if it's not a secret organization, then there could be a lot of interest in wanting to be a member or to be a part of a spiritual group or any group that deals with um, the occult or any metaphysical pursuits. 12th house is a house of solitude. It also governs hospital, prisons, and the monasteries. Pluto here indicate that you are someone who is very sensitive and you have really strong and powerful emotions, and there's a need for you to control and hide those powerful emotions from other people. That sensitivity that you have can also make you very aware and very in tune of with the collective suffering. And because of that level of awareness that you have, you might have a lot of guilt, especially if you feel like your life is a lot easier than the lives of other people that you encounter. You are someone who likes to be alone, be in solitude, and you also prefer to work behind the scene instead of being the center of attention. And that desire to be behind the scene can play out in the form of engaging in a secret love affair, or engaging in criminal activities, or in other escapism tendencies through drugs and alcohol. So, with this placement, there is a need for you to make sure that you don't engage in any criminal or any unhealthy behavior because Pluto will hold you accountable by making sure that you are placed in certain institutions like prisons or rehab or hospitals to really help modify and change those negative behavior. Similar to Pluto in eighth house, Pluto in 12th indicate that you are someone who is very aware of the dark side of human nature, and you know that instead of suppressing it or rejecting it, you encourage people to really be aware of it and to integrate those traits in their conscious awareness so that it can be worked on and changed. This placement can also indicate strong psychic abilities and having a deep spiritual awareness, and that spiritual awareness can be a source of guidance for you. And once you tap into that wealth of information, then it can provide true guidance for you. But in order to tap into that, you really need to spend a lot of time in solitude to meditate and reflect. And this placement is often found in a chart of those who work in mental health facilities, in crime prevention, or in other crisis situations. That's Pluto in the houses. I hope this information helps you to understand the role that Pluto plays in your chart. So thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video or if you find this video helpful, then please subscribe. Until next time, take care.